I don't get very controversial.
I do.
In my public opinions.
Good. I don't try to either, but I end up there. I don't mean to. As a matter of fact.
I think some of it's your association, if that makes sense.
The National Rifle Association?
No.
If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle.
Yeah, this is Houston. We're copying. Everything is go here.
We shall fight on the beaches and in the streets. We shall never surrender.
I'm in it just to rewrite history, cause I'm in the mood to label us the leaders of the new school. This ain't for the radio, can't find this on YouTube. This the type of killing that these critics ain't used to.
You've said no to the rules of the game or the regulations of the day. You've said no to the conventional wisdom. You're all originals.
In this day and age, I got time for innovation, time to be creative, time too big to waste all my time on critics.
Hey, so everybody, we're lucky enough here to have Richard Post, and I'm thrilled to have got to know him over the last little bit, and what a great man. And the reason I asked him here today, most of us know his son, Austin, and the rest of you might know him as Post Malone, but most importantly, what I find more interesting, and not that Post Malone isn't super interesting or Austin, but is the man behind the man. And like, there's a question, like, you remember the old saying, like, hard times build good, or strong men build good times build weak men. And we had a challenge, like Spencer went around the office, you've met Spencer, and he was saying, hey, name a man, a good man, that's built another good man. And it's really hard. Like we struggled to find, like, the really good, successful men that we've seen came from hard times, right? But what was unique when we had the opportunity to go walk and spend 6-7 hours the other day with you, I'm like, man, this guy is really like a good man. So how does a good man create another good man? And when you see what the world gets to see of Austin is such a pleasure, and how kind and how loving, and it doesn't seem fake because he's continued for 10 years. Like, it's fine if you can do that during a show or during an on television visit, but you see it on social, you see it on gas station stops. It's like, it's relentless. And we had the opportunity, once I saw him at a gas station, and then one of my guys was at the Olive Garden, and Austin holds the door open for him. He's like, dude, you wouldn't believe who held the door open for me.
Yeah.
And so I found it, the reason I wanted to hear, one is I want to hear your story. It's amazing. And two, how do you create like somebody that can be to the point where he wants to be in his own little silo, and we sit there and drink and have him drink his own Kool-Aid all day and feel like no one's good enough to even talk to him, to someone that really wants to literally talk to every single person that comes around him, and it doesn't want to leave without the people having the opportunity to say hi.
Right.
And that's really what I wanted you here for, is like, kind of come about where you came from and your upbringing, and how, as parents, like, more importantly, I mean, it's a little bit business podcast because I'm curious about that too, but more importantly, as a parent, like, I've got a 15-year-old daughter, I've got a 18-year-old daughter on the 24th. So we're talking a few days, and I'm a week. Yeah, exactly, from today. And I'm nervous that, like, it's almost done being able to program them. Like, and I don't mean program in a negative way, but I'm like, to help them build a moral compass. And then I've got a 23-year-old and a 27-year-old. And I feel like the influence of those guys, they've done great. Like, Tayden, dude, rock star. Like, he is a salt of the earth, and I feel super fortunate. Now, I had to whip his ass from 14 to 17. Like, he slept on the side of my bed with no blanket for months because he stole mom's car and was smoking weed or something inside it and got videotaped by the police. I mean, it's hard, and I think every parent struggles, especially with the social media influence that's out there right now, that all these young kids feel like they have to compete or they have to compare, and they get this belief that in order to be rich or a celebrity or successful in any way, they have to follow the trend, which is be a dick or be above everybody else, and don't let the underlings or the people that are below you communicate, and you don't have to be kind anymore. And that scares me, you know, because I don't want that out of my kids at all. And right. I hope to always have that grounded root of love for humanity and humans, and less about what they've accomplished. And I'm just curious, and I think the world wants to know more than you think. I mean, you made a reference the other day, a little bit coattail celebrity. I'm like, no, for parents, at least for me, genuinely, and Spencer too, we talked about it on the way home, is like, more of the celebrity to me is, how did you do it? Because it's such a huge hurdle. And I think the celebrity piece is, for a parent, you're more something that we look up to. Like, man, I hope we pull it off like you did. And so, with all due respect, like, that's where it comes from for me.
I appreciate the compliments. I'd like to meet the person you're speaking about, but here I am. You know, you mentioned social media. Social media is the most antisocial place there is in the face of the earth these days. And people say all kinds of things that are cruel, and I think they do it to make themselves feel better and bring the other person to their level. But having said that, I didn't have to raise either of my kids in a real age of social media until they were older. I didn't know anything about social media until Austin left for LA, and then it was just Facebook, and that was the only way I found anything about what he was doing, because kids are kids. The 18-year-olds don't want to talk to their,
Their dad, parents.
yeah, they don't want to talk to their 49-year-old father every day to say what's going on. I didn't necessarily either. It was different. Communication is more instant these days, so I think there's different expectations for parents these days that they try to live up to that are just hard. That you can't possibly live the way that everyone tells you need to live to be a parent. You need to let your kids take chances, do things that they want to do that hopefully won't ruin the rest of their lives. Whether the advent, there are some things that have changed life. I'm 59 years old, and when I was a kid and there was drinking or anything involved, your choices were to call your parents or to walk home or do whatever. Now with Uber and all those other things, we've eliminated some of the progress of parenting has been eliminated with some of the convenience of change and technology. But some of it's made it really hard. And I think social media, the instant access to information, if I made a mistake, I was thinking about this just the other day. Like, if you look at like guys like rock stars like Steven Tyler or Ozzy Osbourne or people who did things back in those days.
We don't know.
You found out in printed paper weeks later, and there was no outrage. There was no yelling at each other for being right or wrong. Mistakes and bad decisions are two different things. A bad decision happens because you've processed it and you just decided to go against what you thought was right. A mistake is something that truly you had no awareness of what was going to happen, or you were naive to the situation. And I know Austin's made plenty of mistakes. And I ramble a lot, so you'll have to pull me back.
No, I love where you're going, because this is how we process, right?
But I just think that I have two boys. I raised them both the same. One happens to be known worldwide, and the other one's chosen a path of anonymity. That he doesn't have social media at all. They were raised the same. They the same influences. We live in an age with fractured and diverse families, and ours is one. My wife and I had kids from a son from a different relationship, but I've been involved in Mitchell's life since he was 4. He is a father who had his influence on him and did what he could do to raise a son that he's proud of. I'm proud of Mitchell as well. I raised Austin the same way I raised Mitchell. There weren't two standards. There was just the same moral compass of, you mentioned about something earlier, like kindness is free.
Yeah, it is free.
It doesn't cost you anything to be kind. It doesn't mean you need to be a fool. It doesn't mean you need to be taken advantage of. But it really means you need to be kind. And both my boys are kind. Austin's exemplary of it. And sometimes I don't even have the patience that he does for that. He didn't get all that patience from me. Mitchell's also kind. He's just not public. He's more of an introvert.
Which isn't that funny? Same household, extrovert, introvert. And is Austin really extrovert, or is he just extrovert on stage? Austin has anxiety in performing, and he's admitted to it a lot. He's an extrovert by nature. He likes to have people around, and there are people in his life that are really good for him. But sometimes I'll look at him and see that he's the loneliest person in the room. Wow.
Because one of the things I feel like I've gotten good at is realizing who's Austin Post's friend and who's Post Malone's friend. And I don't treat him ever like he's Post Malone. If we joke around. He has the means to be Post Malone, right?
Right.
If I told him to come shovel my driveway, he'd probably
Just pay someone to come
send
to.
somebody over to do it. But when my relationship with Austin is not professional of nature, like where I don't try to manage his business. I just try to be his dad, do the same things for him that I would do for Mitchell, give the same advice that I would give. He lives we all live a very fortunate lifestyle thanks to Austin, and I'm grateful for it. There are times where I resent the lifestyle because we have no. It's just hard to have an outward relationship with him when we go everywhere because he is so accessible to his fans and even people who are just casual passerbys. He's a great kid.
He's willing to talk to anybody, say hi, middle of dinner.
Doesn't matter.
So, like you said, when he moved at 18, he moved away.
He did.
And what is, like, as a young child?
He might have been a little older. He went to community college for one semester. I think he was 19.
19. At what age did you guys get divorced?
His mother and I split up when he was 3.
3? And then 50-50?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Custody, I guess.
His mother's been involved in his life. There's rumors to the contrary, and people, again, the internet doesn't need facts. It just needs what it thinks it wants to tell.
Yeah, whatever it's going to go the most viral, which is usually negative, and anything they could talk negative on.
And that's what catches wheels. Nobody wants to talk about the guy who rescued the puppy. They want to talk about the guy who kicked the puppy.
Right.
You know?
It's unfortunate, too, because you think what would be most viral? Well, Austin's had this great reputation and record of doing such a great and nice things and kindness. Like they're just waiting for him to not, so that way they can blow that up.
It's a gotcha moment.
Right, that's it.
Everyone holds on to their gotcha moment. So, you know, you're in marketing, you market your company. We market ourselves every day. I took marketing in college. You know, as a best case scenario, one bad experience just ruins 10 good ones.
Best case.
On a best case,
Yeah.
you know, I find myself in that sometimes too, where I will let the negative one time taint the 9 times it's right. We're just human beings, but I try to pull myself back and give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't like to be taken advantage of, though. And that was one of the things that I try to teach. Kindness is, there's empathy and sympathy. You can have empathy,
Right.
which means that you're just going to look at something and try to do what's best for the person as a general rule. Sympathy means you're just going to co-sign what they're feeling and go down that poor me or pity party or however this happened. And I don't believe that that's conducive to getting on the right track again to fix whatever situation you're in.
It's empathetic more that helps, and then giving a coaching eye. So I think there's 50% of the population is divorced, right?
It's probably more
Or
than
more,
that now.
right? It's kind of funny. I was looking at a graph the other day, and it's like it hovers. It's been staying the same. It'll go up a little bit. It's on a high tick, but it's 50 to 52, and it kind of does this little wave as times get better or worse. But I think a lot of single parents get worried about how their kids can turn out, and how do you stay involved, and how do you have influence, and the fear of the new stepfather or stepmother, how they influence, and do you really have input? But I think they don't give kids enough credit, like, because obviously you see it in your sons, both Mitchell and Austin, that you can still turn out, right? So at the same time, what did you feel like? Did you know all along that he had this empathetic heart? Was he born by nature, this guy that was just kind, kindness is free, wanted to be involved with as many people as he could?
Yes. We're in such a me society where whatever's best for me, that we just need to be more about a we society, whatever's best for the group. And that the sacrifices isn't the right word. The accommodation you need to make to have the majority of people be comfortable whether you're talking or watching a movie or whatever, you know,
Right.
I try to facilitate it. There's no need to make people unnecessarily uncomfortable.
Right.
Again, I don't want to be taken advantage of, but
We can get together as a group. And I mean, not to get off too much, but I want to dive in. Like we society, I was in the plane and we went to Japan last week, and the new Airbus 350, whatever. I know this is first world problems. I probably even shouldn't say it, but in the one cabin, they got rid of the center deals. Well, in getting rid of the center luggage holders and lights and vents, you no longer have vent control
Right.
in the one cabin, right? And you're like, holy crap. Well, it was burning hot. And then I walked to the front, it was freezing cold. I'm like, well, row 4 next time. Like, that's where we need to sit. But I found myself like getting frustrated. Like, you guys need to cool it down for me back here. But yet the front's cool, it's freezing. So first time in my life, didn't say anything. I'm like, whatever. I'll just wish I could take my shirt off and do whatever, but I'm just going to just chill out and try to go to sleep.
Right.
But I find myself guilty of that a lot, by the way. It's like you want to complain, you want to be ornery. There's 300 and some odd people, so you got to be quiet. But it's hard. Like I mean, and as you move up the ladder a little bit, you can afford to pay more on your air conditioning, and you can afford to do whatever it is that you want to be comfortable, and you have expectations that everybody around you should be comfortable. And speaking of we society in Japan, wow, those people, I heard 2 horns in Tokyo, 2.
I honked 2 times on the way here.
Right. I heard 2. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, they're at a city of 37 to 38 million people that has nobody honking and people letting your way and apologetic and kind and giving you space and making sure you're comfortable all along the way. I told you I left my knives on the road at the Tsukiji Fish Market. I'd bought handmade knives. An hour and a half later, left them on the sidewalk, 10,000 people maybe on this little fish market shopping day. And I'm like, an hour and a half later, call my buddy. I'm like, hey, you still at the fish market? Yeah. Well, you go by this place. There's a Kobe beef place that has a blue sign that says bar upstairs. I set this bag down by the sign that said bar upstairs, and I ate my steak right there. He calls me, sends me a picture back and says, your knives are still here. I'm like, what in the world? Like, if that happened in Bountiful, Utah, it would still be gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like the old saying of finders, keepers, losers, weepers, right? That really kind of ruins society a little bit. Over there, it's like it's not fair. They'll pick it up and make sure you know. Like, they panic about taking anybody's thing. People saving tables with their phone or their wallet and then going to get their stuff. You're like, what in the world? You know, this is just a different society. But going back with your adopted kids, like, or not adopted, excuse me, but 4-year-old and you're doing co-parenting, what's curious to me is, do parents, you think, when they get divorced, tap out of responsibility of being a parent because now they have an excuse of blaming the stepfather or the mom or not being able to be influential and not taking the time to use it the right way to at least put their input in? Because, I mean, you still value your dad, right? But then I hear a lot of my friends that have been divorced point fingers to the stepdad that I can't do anything. Like, he's the stepdad and he's Disney dad, and I'm always the bad guy.
I think that's it. That's probably so in some cases. It wasn't so in my case, where his dad, Mitchell's dad, and Austin's mom, and then my wife Jody. Today's our 22-year wedding anniversary.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
man! That's awesome.
And we've been together for 26. It's hard. Like, I'm not going to say it's easy all the time, and most of the time it had to do with. We were fortunate that everybody wanted the kids. So
wasn't like keep the kid.
Right. It wasn't like, oh, it's my weekend. What am I going to do with my kid? You'd be like, oh, it's not my weekend. What am I going to do with myself?
See, there's something. It's backwards thinking than most.
It doesn't mean that everything was perfect. Doesn't mean that we didn't hear, my dad would do this or my mom would do that, or that there weren't sometimes where there were hurt feelings involved. But I think overall that the general parenting of all 4 parents involved was about what's best for the
child.
kid. Yeah. And I don't know that it's the parents necessarily that, which came first, the chicken or the egg. Family court's an awful place to be because it's so sterile. And oftentimes they make it so regimented that the repercussions of violating whatever agreement they put out for you has an effect on the kid and the parent. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate that I didn't have. We worked it all out.
That's awesome. Did you have open lines of communication in the process of how to handle it? So let's say one of the kids did a mistake and you let the other parent know and then talk about how you want to handle it? Did you guys go through that exercise?
We were fortunate. The kids were really good kids and they didn't do things that you wouldn't expect kids to do. Test your limit, sure. Test their boundaries, of course. But we were always, I don't want to sound like saintly parents because, of course, there's things that I've done wrong.
You had never parented before, so you had to learn. Right, that's it.
But there was I can't think of a time where we disagreed to the fact that we couldn't come to a resolution for whatever was going on in Mitchell or Austin's life.
Wow.
So
that's rare too.
It's fortunate. And I think it's just, it doesn't have to be adversarial. But sometimes it can be the new parent or the step parent or the step relationship or whatever, because maybe they're new parents too. Maybe they've never been parents too. And again, nowadays you see all these what appear to be perfect lives and perfect parents, and then they're going to jail for being abusive parents, like the recent one here with the mom and the woman that had this parenting.
Yeah.
Everyone thought that everything was perfect. So appearances, I'm not about appearances. I'm about just looking at it and taking it for what it is.
And getting results and supporting.
Well, yeah, mostly supporting to get the results. Yeah.
So we had a good conversation on Austin's back porch a little while ago, and you were talking about that you supported every bit of your kids' ambitions, and it wasn't always music. It bounced from football, you said, and baseball and whatever it was. And I think parents get a little bit one-sided in their own vision of who they wish they were, and they try to program their kids to be who you wanted to be. Right. And it's a struggle, right? Because it's expensive one nowadays. Like kids' sports are
outrageous, right? I can't believe how much my friends talk about.
Well, they tip. I mean, it's like constant tip at your wallet. You know, even in high school, I think my daughter plays. I know she plays for high school as a. Super proud of her. 9th grade, gets on the high school team, and she does great. But you go in and it's $375, and that's fine. But I mean, at the same time, I'm like, when I was doing fire, that was half of my 2-week paychecks. So that was like a week's worth of paychecks. I'm like, man, that's hard. And then every game you go to, it was $7 to $10 to go watch your kid play in a high school that's publicly funded for a high school club that you're paying for in your taxes. That's absurd. So I think parents like want you to funnel to one, right? A selection of one, because that's what we can afford, or selfishly, it was the one that we want you to do. How did you support them, like your kids, like Mitchell and Austin, if you wanted to be a singer or whatever, you know what I mean? We went through the whole sports. Some of it was forced. They just do something where Mitchell played soccer. They both played baseball. Austin played football. My kids' life wasn't my life to correct the mistakes and project onto them. As much as I loved sports when I was in high school, if Austin didn't want to do sports, he didn't do sports. But I think but once they joined, I never let them quit. There's a difference between that. I did that with my daughter. She, I think we talked about this, but she tried to go all the way. She wanted to get onto the Infinity, like their top performing dance club, and she'd missed it every year. And she finally got the point, like, forget it, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm like, okay, good. But you got to finish this year.
Right.
And then if you want to be done, then good, because I will save $1,300 a month. Like, that's fine with me. And then I think she took it as a challenge. I'm like, you just didn't try hard enough. And these kids, and it's not saying she didn't try, but hard enough. Like, some people have to try less to be exemplary, and others have to try extremely a magnitude, multiple times harder to get to that level. It's just not natural to some. And she finally got there, and then she pushed it, and then she ended up getting into where she got to the team.
Well, we can't all be the best. Right. We can all be our best. There's a difference. I can't. There's a lot of things I can't do, but if I do it, I got to try the best that I can. Right? It's not going to make me the best. I just need to put my best effort into it.
To be your best.
Right.
Yeah.
And when Austin started to do music, it was. Everybody starts somewhere, but it was his passion, and you could see it. Mm-hmm. Like when things click with your kids and you see the passion, then you just kind of just foster it. So we've been to a lot of places and heard a lot of music that most people, besides the parents of the people in the band, didn't want to hear. And then they got better, and they got better equipment, and they had people that would coach and do the things, and there was effort on their parts, and you just gotta watch them grow and enjoy it. I get asked a lot of the time, what does it feel like? It doesn't feel any different than watching your 4-year-old son get his first hit off a tee ball. The pride is the same. It's just
That's interesting, huh?
it's you can't manufacture that. You can't make it up. You can't fake it. You can't pretend. And kids know it. They you know what I mean?
They know when you're genuinely proud.
And you just need to feel it. Now that's sometimes that's hard because I don't understand a lot of things in this world. I don't want to understand a lot of things in this world. I just want to be part of it and contribute my part. And I'm not a super dad because my son's a world-known musician. I'm a super dad because I'm Austin Post's dad. And everybody can be a super dad.
Yeah.
Everybody can be a super mom or a super parent.
Do you feel like parents compare themselves to you and feel like they cut themselves short, like because they aren't delivering kids that are changing the world? Do you ever feel that?
I don't. I feel more like people are looking for the magic elixir, that the one key that you could just do it and spread it out. If that were the case, then Tom Brady's dad would have 6 Tom Brady's. Now,
I get
take the Mannings out of it because that might be unfair.
Right.
Or with Peyton and
Right.
Eli and
He
now
kinda
Arch
nailed it.
Manning. And
So his dad did cheat, is what you're saying.
he's probably got some sort of super performance.
It's the blue drip or whatever.
Yeah. You just need to support your kids. I always joke, you could be anything you wanted to be in my house except for not a Dallas Cowboy fan, and that's true.
And that is still true to this day.
I could tolerate anything you wanted to do.
But that.
As long as I always tell the one thing that I'll tell people that I told the kids when Austin dropped out of college, I just said, I don't really care what you do with your life. As long as what you choose to do with it, you're the best at it you can be. If you want to pick up dog poop for a living, be the best dog poop picker upper there is out there. Be the guy that has a neighbor that gets a new puppy and says, hey, I got this guy picks up the best dog poop and refer
He's your
him.
guy. Yeah.
Just be that guy. Be that person. Be genuine. And Austin's very genuine. Mitchell's very genuine.
Was that something you dripped him all growing up? Like, be genuine, be kind. Is this a constant drip?
Yeah, it was one of the things. It took me a while to learn. I oftentimes get perceived in my past as being a hard ass in work in particular, at work in particular.
Because perfectionism, maybe?
No,
just hard.
Just people used to ask me, why do I give them such a hard time? It's because I see in you sometimes what you don't see. And if I'm giving you a hard time, it means because I know you can do better. And the worry that you should concern yourself is when I stop. That means I've given up.
Because you've given up on yourself first.
Well, they've given up on themselves.
Yeah. I feel that way about myself too. Like, I see it in my employees, and we try to tell them, like, when we hire and I have the opportunity to meet people, I'm like, I see some unique things in their personality that could be, maybe they've been assigned in the wrong role potentially from what I see that they could be in. And when I say, look, you need to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do here, even if it's not that you're working here, we just be proud to be a step in your ladder of your career path.
Well, I think you want to know, it's a segue, pertinent, kind of what we're talking about. Back when I was looking for jobs, I had to sit down across from somebody. And obviously they looked at a piece of paper or an application that I'd put in. Who can put into words what you really are?
They're lame,
and they're all, what's your greatest strength? I'm a people person. I show up to work on time. Yeah, it's a piece
I take
of
pride
paper,
in my work,
right?
yeah.
But poise, charisma. So nowadays, if you want to apply for most jobs, you go on an app that AI sorts.
AI writes your resume,
and you just don't get to sit down and people. You could sit there and have 2 identical resumes and get the biggest turd show up, and the same person
got rejected,
and probably would have been perfect for what you were doing. I think so like COVID ruined a lot of things for our kids. It ruined proms. It ruined sports rallies. It ruined
My son's graduation was on a hay trailer.
It ruined, and it ruined the interaction. And without getting into the politics of it all, it made us more callous towards each other.
I think that's where it went to, from we to me.
And that's exactly where I was going with it. I think that we became absorbed in, because that's all we had was me.
Right.
Even when we had we, it was really just me through a computer screen somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't go out to the movies and hang out and have grumpy people like me walk by the kids outside and say, those kids are getting popcorn all over the theater or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
And they didn't have a chance to make, I talked about mistakes and bad decisions and getting to learn the difference between the two and getting, listen, if we all haven't been talked to by a cop, maybe we're not living our lives the right way, right? We're not. But to get a warning from a cop and sent home, I would rather have gotten in trouble with the police, and not that I did, than have to deal with the repercussions of a cop taking me home to my parents and dealing with my parents. But you didn't need the cops when I was a kid.
Right.
I got grounded for a week when I was 16 years old for going to Chuck E. Cheese.
without being asked or told you could.
Well, because they served beer. And you had to be 18 or older or accompanied by an adult. And I had a particular car that one of my mom's friends saw at Chuck E. Cheese and called another friend that called my mom and said, hey, Rich is at Chuck E. Cheese. And before I could get home, it was already there, right?
Bam.
So and I don't say that like it's a funny story and it was funny back, but they didn't get that. You couldn't take the chance to go to Chuck E. Cheese and get in trouble,
right?
Because Chuck E. Cheese was closed, or the movie was closed, or the gym was closed, and it's a rough. It's time in these kids' lives that they're never going to get back.
And it's unfortunate. It's like back when we were in high school, every one of the people at Viewmont had guns in their back of their truck.
Hunting season, there was a gun rack in
everybody's truck. And then we put our guns in the locker. If we bring it in and put it in the locker, nobody thought anything of it. Like, yeah, it's okay, cool. Show and tell. And look at it, I got my new 22. You'd bring it to school and show it and show and tell. And you don't worry about it. And then when we used to play Viewmont and play Bountiful, then they'd have the rumbles, right? So they'd go fight, each school would fight each other, and nobody thought anything of that either. And there was no cell phone, so we'd go up to the B up on the mountain, and there's like the flats right in front of the B, and everybody kind of get in a fight, little punching fight. Well, there was no cell phones and there's no cameras. And then in order to call the cops, you had to drive down to the gas station and call 911. But by the time someone drove down to the gas station, nobody's going to be there. So we had the opportunity to be able to be like teenage high school boys that would want to fight and get whatever it is out of you, knowing that no one's pulling a gun, even though every truck had a gun in their car. No one ever would get that out of their car, and no one ever thought about it. It's just a weird world that now no one can even make that mistake. No one can be even flagrant. I can't yell at you without being video. You can't yell, especially people like yourself.
I can't even say things on social media without it being some repercussion.
That makes it hard too, because then you guys are ultra scrutinized, like for your ability to just talk freely. And not that you have much to say negative, but you can't even voice your opinion in the wrong way, or it kind of projects onto the family opinion, right? So you kind of have to be reserved, and it's unfortunate. Like, we can't just be us. And then again, everybody's thinking you're doing negative things. And obviously then if you're doing it, then everyone's doing it. And the same for us. Like, I got to be careful what I say so it doesn't be projected that Murphy Door's constant opinion's that, because Murphy Door doesn't have an opinion, to be honest, right? It's just a hidden door company that tries to create awesome spaces for awesome experiences. And that's it. But when I say it wrong, or any of my team members say something incorrect, then people feel like that it's the company's opinion. And even though it's my opinion and I own the company, it's nothing to do with the door company. Like, we're just a door company that makes cool, fun doors and beds for people, and they have no opinion. But it's a weird dynamic that our kids are stuck in, having to kind of hold opinions back to themselves for fear of repercussions on themselves or other people that they love or their friends. It's bad. And I think that's been, to your point at the very beginning, with social media, it's the demise of, it's the most non-social thing there is on the planet.
It is so antisocial.
It is. And it's sad. So I look at the progress of these kids, like your kids, and did you feel like there was like a defining moment that there was a good? Does Austin ever or Mitchell ever refer to some things like that was a pivot, Dad, when we had this learning experience and how you handled the experience?
I don't know that I could specifically point to a defining moment one way or another for the kids. I think all I have is the consistency of the groundwork that I laid. There of course there were rules, and of course sometimes they'd get bent.
Did you have respect rules? Like, do you have to respect
Yes.
everybody?
I
So if they went out of line, they were being rude to someone, did you pull them aside and say, "Hey, man, that's not how we act"?
yes.
You did.
And that's probably one of the biggest compliments I still get. The thing that means the most to me as a parent about Austin is when other parents or other people say how respectful Austin is in spite of his celebrity. Celebrities are people,
Sure.
right? They're just like us. Most people just want to have a genuine interaction. But again, back to this camera society, some people want to have that gotcha moment or aha moment. And I genuinely can't think of a moment where I've thought to myself, he wasn't raised that way. I've
Wow.
had a couple where I've thought I would have handled that a little different in a more aggressive way than he
Yeah,
would have.
he was kinder.
Yes.
Right.
I don't tolerate idiocy in my life.
Even from your kids,
No.
or especially from your kids, right?
They're adults now. They're 30 years old. So I can certainly express my opinion, but my work as far as making them good people or being an example that molds who they are is, I don't want to say is over.
Well, because you got grandparenting now.
I have a grandkid now.
All right.
Yes.
So now you got to teach how to be a
She's
grandpa.
amazing.
3 years old?
3 years old, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And she is beautiful. And she's funny. And there's nothing that will make your life happier than getting out of your car. Just this past weekend when she was going back to her, she's in the same situation as Austin was. Her mom lives in California and Austin lives here and does Austin things. And they were headed back. We were late getting there to say goodbye. And I got out of the car and the window was down and all I hear is, G-pop! And it was just the most amazing thing. I love that little girl. But it's just, it's different being a grandparent, but it's the same principles.
Right.
And the other difficulty is raising Austin, not one of his parents came from significant means, right? It wasn't like the kids always ate. There was never any homelessness or any of those things that other people have to go through. So we were blessed and fortunate that way. But my first house was 1,200 square feet. Didn't have air conditioning. I'm not. This isn't poor me.
Sure.
It's just modest means.
Right.
And even in my upbringing, I didn't have air conditioning in a house or a car till I was like 26. Right.
They were uncommon.
Right.
Right. You didn't even have power windows, right?
I didn't.
My first car was a 69 Cutlass 442, right? So I didn't have power anything.
That's mine was my grandfather's 69 Camaro and a 72 Nova. But she comes from means. So the hard part is going to be keeping her grounded to realize that not everybody.
So she's at the good time stage. Like, so that's to the point where like strong men build good times build weak men or women, I should say. So his struggle is going to be, how do we maintain the grounding that he's been so appreciated for?
And sometimes when I was in college, I went to Syracuse University.
Push this back your way a little bit.
I went to Syracuse University, and I remember working. I had a work-study job, and I was working the main desk in the dorm I lived in, and this girl came down in hysterics because she'd missed her cable appointment. And the other people who were working with me at the time, when she walked away, started to make fun of her. And obviously, it's an easy thing to make fun of.
Sure.
And I said to them, isn't it a great life that that's the biggest problem she has? Now, whether you think it's entitled, whether you think it's spoiled, whether cable TV was a luxury, I get it. I understand it. But what a great life for that girl.
To be
The
able to have
biggest
that.
problem she had was that she missed her cable appointment. And so you got to walk that balance. You want your kids or your grandkids or people in your world to live a life where the worries are more superficial than they are damaging. You know,
And that's a really good way to put it. They're more superficial than they are damaging.
right?
Like not being able to eat, not having a place to
There are
sleep.
so many people in this world that struggle.
Right.
Some of it's through bad decisions. Some of it's through mistakes.
And some of it's just where
And
they're
some
born.
of it's just because it happens, right? This is a rough world. I'm not
We've been lucky living here in the United States.
right,
We've
but
been lucky.
even the United States isn't necessary. That there's
It's got its places. right?
that there are children that don't have enough to eat is incomprehensible to me in a country of this wealth.
Right.
Now, again, you got to walk that balance between being sufficient and good to the kids, and then and then enabling a nanny state, right?
I agree. That's a hard line.
Safety nets are there for a reason, and I'm all for them. We want to talk about fairness, you need to contribute. When we talk about fairness and like taxes and stuff like that, people should pay their fair share. That means everybody. If you get more back or as much back as you paid in through the year, you're not contributing a fair share.
Or how about you didn't contribute and you got back?
Right.
Which doesn't make sense to me. How's that work?
And that's okay. I understand why
principle.
why there. I understand all of that, but contribute to society. It doesn't have to be monetarily.
Yeah.
Volunteer. If you have a skill, teach a kid that skill. I think one of the greatest things that we're figuring out is that everybody doesn't need a college education. Everybody just needs to be educated.
Right. And that could be through experiences.
Or a trade school, or some of the smartest people I've ever met in my life never spent a day in university or college. And I think there's a lot of untapped talent out there that we look, as a society, look down our noses at. But we need these people. We need a well-rounded. If you look back in, I'm not trying to say that anything was better socially, but you look at when families could afford to live on an income, whether you were trade or a physicist at Xerox,
still buy
like
a
my
house.
dad was. You could still buy a house. You could still buy a car, and mom could stay home with the kids until a certain time. Those were decisions that you could make, though. They weren't. The mother working wasn't a necessity like it is now, and there's some disproportionate something that happened somewhere along the line that I can't put my finger on, and I'm not smart enough to figure out the reason. But I think that people want to contribute. I think that people want to be valued. And I think that by giving things away diminishes that self-indulgence. And then what you find, and self-indulgence diminishes
desire.
that self-worth.
Right. There you go.
And then it makes them find that satisfaction somewhere else, whether it manifests in a good way or a bad way. I will publicly state I'm a libertarian with conservative leanings. I really truly believe that if what you do in your life doesn't impede my pursuit of life, liberty, or happiness, then you should be allowed to do it.
I agree.
And when I say mine, I mean collectively, anybody's. If you want to dress up like a rhinoceros and frolic around your backyard, by all means do that. But if you want to do it and put a lagoon in my backyard to
Come and do it. Yeah, please do.
please. It's a simplistic way to look at it. And I just think that we've taken away a lot. Anyways, I'm far away from kids shouldn't be hungry.
Right.
I'm a far away from that. But
Okay, and I think kids should be hungry in multi-state, right? So not just food hungry. They should be hungry on their goals. They should be hungry on their beliefs. They should be hungry on testing and trying and ability to fail with pride, like because they tried. And I think there's so much shaming with the social media side that nobody dares try because they're afraid of having the ridicule or the tease that comes from social media. So they find themselves in this lockdown mindset that they don't even dare try because they don't want to be ridiculed or made fun of. So they get stuck.
Well, you mentioned earlier about being able to, even when I was a kid, there were rifle racks and cars and rifles in the rifle rack and trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And kids are kids. I think kids have been kids
since we're kids.
Forever.
Since we're kids.
And I don't think that they're any meaner or more bullying or any kinder than they were in 1897 than they are in 2025.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems with social media is that I remember when I was a kid, they talk about they used to make movies about the summer glow up, where you would leave in the summer of 1983 and come back for your senior year of 1984 and gone through your growth spurt and gotten rid of whatever acne and all that stuff, but you had 3 months where you had that total decompression,
Mm-hmm.
where you didn't see anybody, and when you got done with school for the day, you went home and you didn't see anybody you didn't want to see till the next day. And there was nobody bullying you online. There was nobody talking rumors to everybody else and spreading. So you had a true decompression. I'm not saying that there weren't problems.
Sure.
I'm just saying there's no decompression.
There was separation.
Right. That's you could almost look sometimes when things started to get really bad. If you were getting bullied really bad, that okay, come 3:00. I don't have to deal with this till 9:00 tomorrow. Or come 3:00 this Tuesday, I don't have to deal with this until September. Say it's June 14th.
Yeah,
I don't have to deal with this again till September 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And you could recollect. It's just like if you look at battles, sometimes they say you don't win all the battles.
Yeah, you just want to win
because you could retreat, recollect, regroup, figure out how you were going to cope,
replan,
and then go back.
Yeah,
and we don't give that to our kids anymore.
I've never thought of it that way. You're right. They're on 24/7,
all the time.
24/7. TikTok, Instagram, whatever, Facebook. It's a constant. Snapchat, and it's live and it's constant and it's stressful and it's competitive and it's comparing and it's the tease. It's like I never even thought about that about my poor kids. Fortunately, we didn't give our kid that we gave the phone, the youngest to was 13, which I regret. Tayden didn't get a phone until he was 17. One, I couldn't afford it. Two, I didn't want him to have a phone because I didn't want him to be a shit. He had obviously an iPad before then, but the phone side, I'm like, look, and I had a 30-minute, you know how the first kid's always the one that gets the strict rules because you're learning? 30 minutes on electronics, period, in 24 hours. That was your rule. And so we ended up smashing his iPad because he was 32 minutes. And I'm like, all right, everybody, let's go outside and we're going to smash the iPad on the driveway in front of everybody, all the girls, my 2 other girls. So that way they can see what happens when you don't follow Dad's rules. So I didn't smash it. He had to smash it. Right. And he's like, well, Dad, that was really dumb because now you just had to buy me a new iPad. And I'm like, I'm not buying you a new iPad, dude. This is on you. You're going to have to buy your own new iPad. But I've told you the rules. You stepped outside the rules. And I probably was too heavy-handed in the sense that 32 minutes is a little bit too strict.
Yeah, but sometimes 32 turns into 34.
But it was the gray. So I was trying to figure out how do kids understand black and white more than they do gray? Because if gray can be pushed and pulled back and added to.
But that's where they learn.
Yeah.
In the gray.
In the gray. And you have to encourage them to go gray a little bit.
And that's where you differentiate mistakes and bad decisions.
I'm going to tell you a story where I'd let him go gray in front of this, and my wife's, I'm sure, going to watch this, but she's going to learn, when we went out to go drink beer. So Tayden was 18, and we got invited to go to the Indy 500. And it was a guy that was looking at buying my ladder company at the time. And so he flew Tayden out to the Indy 500. It was a big company from Pennsylvania. And so he's like, hey, look, tell him your son, I want him to come. He's going to come in and hang out. We'll go do the pit thing. We'll do all of it. I'm like, whoa, my kid would freak out. He's a car head and he's so smart at it. And I'm like, all right, Tayden, what are you doing tomorrow? He's like, school. I'm like, well, no, you're not. I go, how about you go to the airport and we're going to fly your happy little butt over here and come to the Indy 500 with me. Well, he grew up, he lives in, where's Walmart? Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah.
Bentonville. Is it Bentonville, Arkansas? I can't remember. So whatever their headquarters are, he lives right there. And so different upbringing, different background. And his daughter was there. And then they had this tent at the Indy 500 kind of tailgate party. He's like, get beer. Gives one to his daughter, gives one to Tayden. And I'm like, oh, no, you're not. And he looks at me. He's like, shut the fuck up. He's like, we're at the Indy 500. I go, my son's never drank beer, at least in front of me. He's like, I have drank beer, Dad. I'm like, all right. He goes, just shut up. He goes, what happens at the Indy 500 is going to stay at the Indy 500. Mom doesn't need to know. You're not going to tell Shannon about this. I don't know that I've ever told you, by the way, Shannon. So sorry.
Yeah, Shannon, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Shannon. We're sorry. But needless to say, it was kind of funny. And he did not hesitate as soon as I said, no, that's fine. And he's like, all right, here we go. And then the next thing you know, who's the first one to get right back up and get another beer? It was him. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess he likes beer. Well, whatever. And it's been one of those things that, I don't know, I felt like that's the gray. And there was some learning. And so when we got in the car to go back to the hotel, I'm like, hey, Tate, here's why it was okay. One, I'm here. Two, you gave me a good example, and I'd love to have you share that. But if you realize I did the same thing. Like I was a shit. I started drinking at 15, smoking at 15, like consistently smoking at 15 as a habit, and got heavily drinking and smoking in the later years. But he never has been that. He's respectfully, I've never drank at my house in front of my kids ever. But I've never hit it either. It's like, look, if I do, but I don't do it in front of you. Like I wanted Tayden to know that you don't have to be excessive. You can do it, but you don't have to it doesn't have to be in your home. Like if you want one with a steak, that's great. But I grew up with friends that were 24 packs as their armrest in their car, and they're still 24 packs. And well, some of them that are still alive, we've lost half a dozen of them that did that and are no longer with us. And I think that has really helped kind of channel him. He doesn't ever, he has no problem weekends. If he does, he goes, I don't give a crap. But there's lessons the same way for you. And I mean, yours had the same kind of experience when Austin had his little incident. What was that? It was, he'd gone out to a party, went to go get him or something.
Yeah, I told both the kids that, that's a bad decision to drink and drive. And I told both the kids that if they were anywhere ever, that their worry was that they would either drive impaired or be in the car with somebody who was driving impaired, that I would get them. It didn't matter what time, where, when, why, how. And there would be no repercussions of it. And I did get a call. I was working in Dallas for the Cowboys. I had a noon game the next day, which meant I was at work at 4 a.m. And the call came about, 2, Austin saying that if the police said if their parents came and got them, that there wouldn't be any further issue. And I went and got them, and we drove probably 15 minutes home. And he finally says, "Are you mad?"
It was silence the
whole time. And I think in those 10, 15 minutes, he learned more about what my word meant to him and how much I cared about his safety than any words or lectures or anything I could have get him. And my reply to him when he asked me if I was mad was, I told you that if you got in this situation to call me and I would come get you, and there'd be no repercussions from it. There might have been other repercussions from other people, but that wasn't part of our deal. And I think that part of that gray is trusting that deals or the promises or the considerations you've made parent to child, child to parent in your 30-minute thing,
They're
32
honored.
minutes. A lot of people would say, well, it was only 2 minutes. And I mentioned, well, then that turns into 34. Or in a different instance would be explaining to people, I listen to people who, it's a joke and I know it's said with good intent, but it's somewhat true, is look at the firstborn and how they were raised and the rules and the rigid and the sterilization of baby bottles and hives and things that they could to keep them to maybe the fifth one.
Yeah.
That's almost like Lord of the Flies running around
they're
with
dirty
scissors, while the oldest one says, this would have never happened when I was a kid. And somewhere between the two probably lies the best course of action, but also experience breeds efficiency. It breeds, it encourages where to draw the lines and when necessarily and where not to.
I think this is that somewhere in the middle lies the right thing. My daughter Presley's going to take it as like, oh, that's why she's perfect in her heart.
Right.
Presley's going to be like, man, I really like that guy because Rich said that, it's somewhere in the middle that's right. And she's going to be taking
and it is with everything, not just kids, but
true.
We're in a society where 5% of the extreme on each side gets 99% of the attention. And if we could just all sit down and listen to each other without all the other noise, we would solve a lot of things that happen in this world.
So how do you think that starts? Have you fabricated what that would look like in your head?
I think somebody's going to have to give. And I don't know that I could do it. If you look at the current state of the government shutdown, I listen to both sides talk. They're talking about the same exact thing, but the words are so exactly different. And I realize that they want to take care of people who need insurance. And I realize that we have a $37 trillion debt problem. And somewhere between the two has to come to compromise. I realize that there are people who need the help. But I also realize that the course that we're on is the end of any civilization with unsustainable debt of that magnitude. So I think that in somewhere in the middle, I know I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but like when you look back when the federal government had a truly balanced budget, who was president? Bill Clinton.
Right.
Who was in charge of the Senate?
I don't remember.
Tip O'Neill, Democrat. Who was in charge of the House? Newt Gingrich.
Oh, that's right.
And it was a time where you felt like people would compromise for the betterment of the constituency of the United States of America. However, if you listen to the way they talked then and the way they talk now, it was still the same 5% yelling over each other. But the middle 90%, I'm talking about 5 here and 5 here.
Then you have 90 stable.
The middle 90% would sit down and say, listen, ignore that noise. We need to do what's right for as many people as we can make it right for. If you go, have you ever heard of MeTV?
No,
It's somehow every now and then my TV resets off of the cable, the internet that we have, and they get to it's an over the airwaves. I think it's also on subscription, but it replays all the old shows: Andy Griffith, Happy Days, All in the Family.
Oh, you know what? They have Little House on the Prairie.
Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah,
all those things.
I watched it.
Go back and go back and watch some of the shows that were considered nostalgic by our parents, and even in my generation. All in the Family, MASH, The Jeffersons, Maude, some of these other shows. There's been progress made from the things that they were talking about. But the inequalities that they talked about then still exist today, 50 years later.
Isn't that crazy?
There's no profit in the change. There's no benefit in the cure.
In every aspect.
However you want to take it. I'm going through cancer treatments now, and I believe that my providers are doing the best for me. But I look at the cost that how much it costs, and it's a combination of things. It's the litigious society that we live in. Or I didn't say that right.
No, that's right. The litigious society, right?
It's having the CYA. It's the cost of research. It's the profits of the pharmaceutical companies and the investors who've bought up all the hospitals. You know, I don't have the answers. I'm not saying the answers. I'm just pointing it out. There's no future in the cure. And we continue to try to find the cure. And I know that things get better. And I know that there are cancers that are cured. I'm not saying that. And I don't want to sound, I'm not one of those guys that is a conspiracy theorist and all of that. I just happen to believe that being sick helps the people who yell in the 5% make more money. Or being divisive in our government helps the people yelling in the 5% make more money. Or make more power or make whatever. It was just curious to me when I started watching this Me TV though.
Like we're still fighting the same
It's
battle.
still the same thing.
Yeah, we've made a few little progress
You
pieces.
can't
but
call
overall-
people the names they were calling each other back then,
right.
but it's the same arguments that they're making.
And that's so superficial too. Just the name calling is just superficial, but the depth of what the problems are, they're still there.
Right.
Oh,
Have you ever seen the movie? Have you ever seen the movie Semi Pro?
Yes.
One of my favorite things in there, and my friend group knows how funny I think it is when they're sitting around playing the Russian roulette game, and the one guy calls the other guy a jive turkey. And this is the movie's from the 70s.
Right.
And he says, "What'd you call me?" The guy and he says, he called you a cocksucker. He goes, "No."
No, he did.
He called you a jive turkey. No, I definitely heard him call you a cocksucker. and then whoa, I ain't heard anybody call anybody else a JT. And this is the way the nomenclature of the insult has changed. That
so much.
You'd rather be called the cocksucker
than a jive
turkey. It just says everything about everything underneath the argument. It's just
isn't that funny?
But it's in a comical way, and I find such irony in it that
where we sit. And
we use insults to take away from the point we're trying to make. Name calling and yelling and all of that stuff doesn't work.
That's what, and it's funny because name calling at the fire department, this is what we do. It's fun.
Yeah.
Right. That's just in good jest.
Right.
It's a constant tease in the
Right.
brotherhood. It's like,
If my friends aren't ribbing me with,
they're not my friends. If they can't come up and just make fun of me all day, like the best insults and the best teases and the best, like they know where to go. And it's like, those are my friends, the people that know where to get me and that know the name to call and know your soft spots, they're going to get you. Those are who I want around me. Like I want critical feedback.
I want the
teased.
guy that's going to have to say too soon.
Too soon, right? That's who it is.
After the rib, right?
Right, that's
whatever
exactly it.
happened.
Yeah.
I had a friend. He's a fireman out in the Pacific Northeast now. Back in Syracuse, he invited us to go fishing, and I'm not much of a fisherman. I'm not much of an outdoors person. I enjoy people enjoying their sport or their
Right.
passion. So he had a boat on the Seneca River, and we went out there, and it was sunk. Like it had sunk. And he thought that someone had sabotaged the boat, and all the reason it sunk was he'd put a new like muffler or exhaust out the back of it and didn't seal it correctly. So every time a wave would
blow back in.
and then he called the police, and the police show up, and I just walk up and he's all upset about his boat sinking. I look at him and I go, "Does this mean we're not going fishing?" He's so mad. It's a funny story.
Too soon?
Too soon. I love that too. That's the kind of people I want around. Too soon.
And I think we need more people.
It
like
just
that.
keeps you. It keeps the levity of your life. And because otherwise you're gonna just like you've dug your hole, right? You have two choices. You can pull the dirt in around you and bury yourself in it, or you can pull it back in a little bit at a time and get yourself out of the hole.
Oh yeah! Wow.
It's same dirt, same hole. It's how you choose to use the dirt.
Wow.
And
I've never heard that expression before. That's awesome.
I'm full of useless
No, that's
things
not
that
useless.
you can use for the rest of your life if you want to.
Because I think that it comes to perception, even for business entrepreneurs, for people. It's like, look, we're in a hole. Like, what is it? Like, well, that's it. I don't know how we can make it.
How many businesses don't make it their first go?
Oh, I've been bankrupt twice.
That's what. How many restaurants? Restaurants are
80%.
It's
Salary.
restaurants are more. Like it's. You sometimes you just can't quit the first time. If you get into it and you realize this isn't my passion. If you failed because it wasn't your passion, then find what your real passion is. But if you failed because you tried as hard as you could
And it's still
and
your
COVID
passion.
hit, or you picked a bad location, You need to just take that little clump of dirt, put it under your feet to raise yourself to get out of that hole.
That's what I'm saying. Business side. Like, what's funny is I was researching how many times did Austin fell in his first music videos along the way. We've seen some old ones, right? That you're like, it's nothing near White Iverson. It was his practicing along the way. And if he would have gave up, that didn't turn out. Wouldn't that be sad?
I've listened to some awful music.
At your home?
Yeah.
In your house, you're like, oh, what do I got coming down the road?
But it was his passion. So you just had to make sure that you weren't the reason he couldn't pursue it.
Wow. So how do you know, like, for example, if you're hearing some music that you didn't love, that you don't be like, dude, that sucks. You need to give that up. Like, let's go back talking football. Like, is it just the way you feel that they feel about what they're doing?
Yeah. 100%.
So if they're not passionate about it and they're trying, then you kind of try to encourage them to go the other way. But since you felt his passion and his love for it and that he was disappointed in the results. However, when I say results, meaning the response from the public or whatever, that can be deflating to people. I think so many people are chasing the likes and the follows and the stuff.
The other thing about when the kid has the passion, even if I don't understand it or you as a parent don't understand it, if they're passionate about it and they're pursuing it, doesn't mean that you've given up any right to explain to them what they might do that's better. And I'm not talking about the artistry or anything, but one of the things that I always said, like, if you have a concert, don't be late. They don't work for you. You work for them. They've paid money to see you, or they've done something, taken time out of their day to see them.
Yeah. Don't
be late. And that's one of the things that Austin's learned. And it's not necessarily all Austin. It's when he got involved in it, him and the people around him were young. And it was just the way, it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
He was 20, right? When he started really getting his hits out.
It's 10 years now. Yeah. Like the song Too Young.
Too Young.
Just got 10 years. It was just 10 years. And White Iverson was 10 years last year. And so you figure that was 19. He was 19.
Wow.
And, the other thing that's interesting about kids and their pursuits is that talking to other people, you need to be genuine and need to feel you. People need to believe in you. And Austin was fortunate that he was a good kid and people believed in him, and he wasn't an arrogant whatever. And I know I listened to people talk, well, in the past, not so much now, about industry plant and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I never owned a music company. I never owned a professional.
Sure? I saw the music company.
If all the rumors about where I came from were true, it'd probably be different, right? I've heard that I was a record company executive. I owned a professional sports team. I bought
this is amazing.
I bought 50,000 copies of White Iverson just to make it go viral. And those are all, none of it's true. All I did was be supportive. You should go back and talk to all the people that I worked with, that I made listen to his music, that might have wanted to tell me exactly how they felt about some of it and never did out of respect for my position or our relationship. But I always believed in him.
Well, Rich, that's crazy. I didn't know you owned this record company, and that you.
Yeah, it's called Rip Roaring Records.
Rip Roaring Records,
yeah.
and you buy it.
Yeah.
And you were just doing the concessions at the Dallas Cowboys for the side gig, the cover.
That's right. It was just where I washed all my money.
That makes sense. Yeah, and then buying 50,000 albums with the side money from the Dallas. That makes sense too.
It was, my only professional music experience was I got paid to DJ weddings and bars back.
In Syracuse?
In Syracuse, New York, yeah.
And if anybody's been to Syracuse, New York, there's plenty of bars, but there's not enough to probably buy 50,000 records.
No, I did that in Dallas.
You did that in Dallas. Oh, yeah, got it. That makes sense. Well, man,
when I bought the Cowboys.
when you bought the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's right, because they were running tight. So you used your money from the record company to buy the Dallas Cowboys.
Don't tell Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I was going to say the Joneses just don't have it. It's hard. They're trying to keep it together.
That's right.
Thank goodness they have Richard Post on the background in their back pocket to come and save them.
Right.
Every once in a while. Right. That's a benefit to have them. That's why you're still buddies.
That's right.
That's why you can still
Love
go
the
down.
Jones family.
And you can go down to a game. They probably invite you every once in a while too.
Yes.
Because you bailed them out. Right.
Yeah,
So
100%.
bailed them out. You built that nice place in Frisco for them to practice.
Yes.
That was kind of you too. I mean, all that stuff.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, I appreciate you a lot. And I appreciate we've spent several hours now on the phone and in person, and it's been always interesting to see. I get concerned for my kids, and I know that Spencer, he's got a 3-year-old that was there, and he asked these questions, and I truly think he cares. And the exercise of just driving home post our conversation, it was like, man, like how do you do this? And I really want to know more about this. And I'm like, and to my point when I visited with you, I'm like, man, I don't know that you realize what the rest of the world is really seeing as a parent. Like the kids love him. I think his music's amazing myself. I enjoy him a lot. But at the same time, it's like, as parents, what do we do to make sure that we have a humble, loving, good member of society that not only does their best to be an example for themselves and their family, but to be an example for others to see that they don't have to be douchebags, that they don't have to be several of what Hollywood has become anyway, like that they are drinking too much of their own Kool-Aid and they feel like they walk on water, which truly is a sad world to be in. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that. And I just hope that there is hope. And I think there is.
There's hope.
I think we're at a turning point, like an inflection point where these kids are a lot stronger than we think they are. They're a lot better than we think they are. And what the world portrays that the kids are like is not anywhere who these kids really are. At least the kids I'm hanging around today, my kids and their friends, like they care and they love people. And there's something to be said, as much as I don't love a lot of the programming, but you know, my daughter's involved in dance and like the diversity a little bit is kind of wonderful because they are defensive and caring about people's feelings and emotions. I mean, we can swing the pendulum too far one way and it always comes back the other way. I mean, to your point, if it would find its way right in the middle, then we could have a well-balanced person that can be successful, that people aren't jealous of and respect and appreciate in whatever career they're in. I don't care if, like to your point of being the best McDonald's drive-through worker there is, but take pride in it and be respectful. And people be freaking respectful of them, for God's sakes, man. Like you want your hamburger, they're just, be nice. Like, so they forgot your straw. Like,
Right.
and be nice. Like, it's stressful too. They're trying to get 30-second drive-through times, like, or whatever. Like, I think at the same time, we get so into the me's, and if we can just build a world of we.
Just turn the M upside down.
Yeah, there you
Me
go.
becomes we.
Me becomes we. And I think we have this appreciation. And as you go through your treatments and the stress, you start realizing like that we're only here for a little while and we don't know when that end date looks like. And for all of us, it could be sooner than yours. We could be on my way home, right? But who is it that we want people to remember us for? And then what's the legacy we leave behind? And it doesn't have to be a Post Malone. It can be a Jeremy that is working in the packaging department at Murphy Door, but damn it, every one of his packages that go out are right. And he loves his job and he loves his family and he's appreciative and thankful. And I think that's a more happy place than the people in Japan. We end up going to like really cool Louis Vuitton stores. Not that I'm shopping there. By the way, I did buy one thing. It was a bottle of perfume because I'm cheap. I had no purses, right? But to see the emptiness of these people spending ridiculous amounts of money, there was a line with take a number. It was literally take a number at Louis Vuitton. I'm like, what the freak is going on? These $2,800 bags and $5,000 bags and $10,000, $1,300 tennis shoes, bro. I'm like, some people love that and that's okay. But they're getting their dopamine hit of that for the me world. And I'm like, man, what is it really that? I mean, I bought these nice Levi's at Walmart. And
I stole these from Austin.
yeah, well, they're good. That's the right way to buy it. I would do the same, right? He won't know.
Ever since he lost all his weight, I got a lot more clothes.
You just wanted to do a life switch or what?
I don't. He just decided he wanted to be more healthy, or
He needed to fit in those Wranglers or those.
I don't know that I can fit in those.
Austin line
I have
of
a pair
clothing.
of those too.
Do you? And
Yeah, I like them a lot. The
do
clothes
you?
are quality.
So where do we buy those, by the way?
That's soon to be.
Oh, it hasn't been released. I just had this. Okay, cool. Well, needless to say, man, well, I look up to you on the way you've been able to deliver what you've been able to deliver to us, the world, the education that we're learning. And I've had the opportunity. I feel like I cheated everybody. I'm sorry, because I was able to spend some really personal time, a good 6-7 hours with Rich.
There's a lot of people who would feel bad for spending 6 or 7 minutes with Rich.
Every minute was great. And I picked your brain probably a lot. And it's been implied and applied. And I was able to express it to my son. I'm like, dude, you're getting to the point where you've been with your girlfriend for years. He's 23, 24. I hope he doesn't get married for a while. I don't think he's in a race. But at the same time, I'm pretty lucky to have Tayden to where he's at. And Hayden is my other boy. He's really a level-headed sweetheart. And I think that's going to be great. And then Presley is wonderful. Annie now, she's 15. She just turned 15. She is my angel. But we've got this newly high school girl. I'm like, oh no, who's this little one? One that used to want to be like by me all the time. And now she's like, ooh, Dad, that's weird. I don't love the weird part, but she'll come back. I just want to really hope that in due time that our kids, not just my own, but everybody else's, can have some type of reflection of positivity that you've been able to deliver, man. I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, everybody. Hey, Rich Post. And again, this is Jeremy Barker with 90 Proof Wisdom. Follow me, subscribe. We really appreciate you. We love you all. Remember, it's free to be
kind.
Free to be kind. Thank you, everyone.